Are you struggling with weeknight dinners? Today I'm going to share 2 quick and delicious recipes that are going to make your evenings stress-free and tasty. Stick around to the end where we're talking about a new favorite dish.
For dinner tonight, we are making a creamy chicken pesto pasta. I'm starting with some of these little snacking tomatoes, the gourmet medley tomatoes that you guys know we love. And we need to actually cut them in half. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Let's do about 10 ounces. I'm gonna throw them here onto the baking sheet. You can put them in a bowl because you are gonna be tossing them in a little bit of oil and some garlic, but I'm just gonna do it all right here on this baking sheet. And I'm using my toaster thing because my toaster slash air fryer slash all the things because I don't wanna heat up our whole oven right now. It's really struggling. When I do heat it up, it takes a very long time to heat up. I think that's enough. It's all, depending on how many you would like, so go with that. Let's just do a little drizzle with some oil. Add to, I guess I should say. It's ready, so I really need to hurry. Some minced garlic, toss around, and we're gonna let these roast for about 20 minutes or so. Okay, so we have our tomatoes over roasting. We've got a pot on the stove that's got some water in it. It's boiling, or I'm getting it up to boiling. And then I have a pan over on the stove that has a little bit of oil in it, and that is for these chicken breasts that we have here. I took them out, I sliced them in half this way because we want nice thin slices for this, but we need to season before we do anything else. So let's season with some salt, making sure that we give these some good flavor. And I'm gonna season one side over here. I'll put the seasoned side down into the pan and then flip and then I can season the other side. Okay, let's add some pepper. And some paprika. Now this is a meal we're trying to move pretty quickly tonight. We actually have church tonight. And so I'm throwing together this meal. It's a good hearty meal, great flavors. Gonna be super filling, but I need to get it done kind of quickly. So this is one that you can do pretty quickly. There's several components to it, but it's not hard. Okay, so my pan is nice and hot. Let's take the chicken and it's gonna go seasoned side down. Hopefully I can fit all these in here. Now we're just cooking this chicken for about 5 minutes on each side. I did just step over and wash my cutting board so that that would be ready when these come out because we're gonna end up slicing this into strips for the top of the pasta or for the mix in the pasta, whichever you prefer. So adding salt, pepper again, and we'll add paprika. Always making sure that we've got great flavor. Over here, you can see those tomatoes are working. We've got about 10 minutes left, which is perfect. My water is almost there. It's almost ready to put in that pasta, and then the chicken is cooking up. We're gonna flip that in just a minute. We're using bow tie pasta, and I need 8 ounces, which is half. I'm gonna do a little more. 8 ounces is about half of the box. I'm gonna set that over here. We've got our pasta. It's almost ready to go in. And we lost one. Time to flip the chicken. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. That is cooked to perfection. Love that sear. So delicious. Okay, so about 5 minutes on this side. Okay, we've got a good cook on the chicken here. So let's take this out. I'm just gonna go right back to the cutting board that I washed. I've got my heat turned down to low because we're gonna add some other stuff in, but I've turned my heat down to low because we need to add some more stuff in. But before I do that, while the pasta is finishing cooking, let me let this rest for just a minute and then we're gonna cut it into slices. Okay, heat on low. I have 1/2 cup of heavy cream. I'm adding in about a 1/4 cup of pesto. And store-bought pesto is the way we're going today. Okay, that's about a 1/4 cup, maybe a little more. We'll do a little more. Start to mix this together. Super easy, guys, super, super easy. Okay, let's just let that heat through. Like I said, we're on a low temperature right now, and we're gonna end up tossing this with the pasta as soon as that's done. It's got just a couple more minutes. You know everyone is hungry in the house when they start to gather right here. All right, we're gonna slice this into somewhat of strips, however you want it to be. If you have younger kids and maybe you wanna cube it up so that it's ready to go, that's fine as well. And we're gonna taste it. It's delicious. So good. Oh, I always forget, I wanna try and keep it together because it'll hold that heat in there. Obviously, you can wait and slice right before. But my daughter is gonna be walking in the door any minute. And we should be ready to eat. Perfect timing, the tomatoes are done. Okay, now our pasta is cooked and drained. Let's add it in to the sauce. Stir it around. I am gonna bring this up to a simmer just so that it will all kind of work together, just for a few minutes. Okay, here's how we're serving this one. Pasta first. Top with some tomatoes. Come on, oh my goodness. Top with some of the chicken. Pine nuts would be another great addition to this dish because you've already got that flavor in with the basil pesto, but this looks so good. Let's cut this piece of chicken in half.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna try with all the elements here. Pasta, tomato, a little bit of chicken. It's tasty.
What's the sweetness you get? Like,
It's the tomatoes.
yeah.
The tomatoes have a little bit of sweetness. The only thing I would suggest that I can taste right away is I think that the sauce needs a little bit of salt. Just a little bit. You probably don't, because I like salt. You think it needs a little bit
When
too?
you eat it, the pasta by itself, it needs salt.
But the flavor is really good. Awesome.
Yeah, that's tasty.
Super easy dish. I started this at 4:45. It's 5:11.
Yeah, I was logging out of work a little after 4:30 and knew that you hadn't got started.
Right.
So I thought, are we going out to
Because
eat?
we have church tonight, and so we knew we needed to eat earlier. But yeah, this was a really fast. Surprisingly, even with all the different elements, this was a quick one.
Yeah.
Really good for a quick meal for sure. Let's make some Mexican street corn chicken enchiladas. So perfect at this time of year. It just screams like summer vibrant dish. We're gonna start by mixing up a few ingredients. I'm just gonna mix it here in my glass measuring cup. We need to start with some green chili enchilada sauce. Now you can use red. Our preference is green, but you can use it either way, whichever flavor you prefer. They are very different, okay? So, and they're both very good. We typically do prefer the green one though. So that's what we're gonna go with today. Okay, so add the entire can there. I'm gonna add a touch of lime, probably 1 to 2 teaspoons, just depending on how much lime flavor you enjoy. There's barely any left, we'll just add that. And then I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of honey. And y'all, the last time I was in Sam's, they had the honey in these little bag things. It is so much more convenient than the actual plastic container, because with the plastic container, we basically can't use the last fourth of the honey because it hardens up. These bags make everything always right here, exactly where you need it to be. This was awesome. This was a great purchase. Just thought I'd mention that PSA. We need to add some sour cream, or in our case, we're adding Greek yogurt. You guys know we often sub, or pretty much always sub out sour cream for Greek yogurt. Okay, this is gonna be a decent amount, about 3/4 of a cup. I'm not measuring, but you absolutely can. Okay, and then I'm adding about a 1/4 cup of mayo. You could do heavy cream if you want. You're gonna get a little thinner of a consistency. Same concept, you're just adding a fat into the recipe. Whichever you prefer is really fine. About a 1/4 cup. Now we need to add a decent amount of garlic powder, about a half tablespoon. A decent amount of onion powder, same thing. I'm going with about a half tablespoon. You're gonna get lots of good flavor here. And then the chili powder, same thing, about a half tablespoon. You could go more or less just depending on, you know, how much you enjoy these type of flavors. We like a lot of chili powder, so we go a little more. Let's just start to incorporate all of that together. And I actually might add more chili powder because I just genuinely enjoy the flavors. Also, let me just tell you, I know I have said this in multiple videos before, but if you are not buying a rotisserie chicken regularly during the summer months, you're missing out, because on those nights when I just need something a little bit easier, it truly makes everything just so easy. So easy. If you haven't seen my video, it's a no-cook recipe for these hot summer months. Check it out because rotisserie chicken helps out a lot in that video and all of those recipes. And they are all recipes where you don't have to heat up your kitchen or do anything like that. No air fryer, no crock pot, no Instant Pot, nothing like that. Check it out, it's right here. The reason I even thought of that is because I've got my Instant Pot going over here, and that is making bone broth from the bones of a rotisserie chicken because we're using rotisserie chicken to go in this recipe tonight. So, okay, set that to the side for just a minute. We're gonna take a bowl. We've got some rotisserie chicken already shredded and ready to go. So I'm gonna take at least a cup, maybe more. Okay, so just break this up into whatever size pieces you would like. So you need cooked shredded chicken. Does not have to be a rotisserie chicken. You can absolutely just take out your chicken breast, chicken thighs, go ahead and cook those up and shred them. You can do whichever you prefer. But ultimately you want probably around 2 cups of chicken. Now, a lot of times I can cut recipes like this in half for our family of 4. I'm actually not cutting in half tonight because I did not plan super well this week for lunches. That's something I feel like I'm usually pretty good at. I plan out breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But this week I just had 0 lunch inspiration. So I'm planning to have leftovers or planned overs, which one of you told me, so that we can have them for lunches each day. So I'm not worried about cutting them in half today, or maybe even this week at all. Let's take about half of this mixture that we made and add it to the chicken and mix all of that together. So it's probably about a cup that we're gonna mix in, because we should have at least a cup and a half or so left over. Mix all of that together. We want this to have all of that really delicious flavor. I believe this recipe will usually fill 8 tortillas, but this time I got medium-sized tortillas instead of the large ones. So I'm thinking I'm gonna end up using more, which is fine, I have more, so that works out well. Okay, I've got my casserole dish. We're gonna make sure it is sprayed well. You can use corn or flour tortillas. Flour is my preference, but we have made it with corn before and it's definitely delicious. I think that if you're gonna make them with corn, heating them up in a pan, like a frying pan over on the stovetop first, just quickly on both sides, does help them to keep their texture. The flour tortillas can get soggy if you let it sit too long, so you just have to be careful. You kind of have to watch it, and it really depends on your preference. If you like corn tortillas better, go with that one. If you like flour better, go with the flour. So we are going to use flour. I'm taking a little bit of our mixture here and putting it at the bottom of the pan, and then just kind of smoothing it out a bit. It's the same thing, like the same concept as when you're doing lasagna. Now we're gonna have our tortillas, add in some chicken, roll it up, put it in the pan, seam side down, okay? So I'm gonna repeat this process and we're just gonna fill the whole casserole dish as much as we can. Sometimes I try and fit them really, really tight and make a lot of them, but in this case, I don't know how much. I mean, I can always add more chicken and make more if I need to. Okay, so the mixture is supposed to fill 8 tortillas. This right here is number 7. Number 8, that is literally the perfect amount to fill 8 tortillas. I'm gonna be filling more than that because I wanna keep going and I have more tortillas. And I'm looking over here, what am I gonna use, you know, like a half a cup of rotisserie chicken on. So we're gonna add some more to this, go ahead and finish it off, and then be done with the rotisserie chicken. I'm taking the rest of the sauce and we're just gonna pour all over and then just kind of spread it around as evenly as we can. If you've made enchiladas before, you know the routine. Okay, let's just spread this around a little bit, making sure we're covering it. Now for us, I didn't mention this when I was actually making them. You can add cheese into the chicken mixture if you want to. As my husband and I kind of change our food likes and dislikes and things like that, we love cheese, but we actually really want to taste a lot of the other flavors. And sometimes, depending on the cheese that you're using, it can mask the other flavors. So totally preference here. You can just sprinkle on top like I'm gonna do, or in the chicken mixture, or as you're rolling them up, you can add cheese to each one. Feel free to do it either way. It just depends on how much cheese ultimately you want, okay? Don't let the fact that I'm making it with just cheese on top stop you from making it the way you want. So we're just gonna add some cheese to the top. This is a cheddar. Absolutely feel free to use a Mexican blend or something like that. We're also gonna be adding cotija cheese to this, which is a favorite. So I don't wanna go too heavy on the cheddar because the cheddar, this Kerrygold cheddar, in my opinion, is a very potent cheddar, and I really wanna taste the cotija. I'm gonna set this to the side because I'm not quite ready to bake this. It is gonna bake at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes and then we will top with our corn. Let's go ahead and get that ready though so that we are all ready to go once this goes into the oven. All right, so I am going to take this is gonna make a mess. I'm gonna take the corn off of the ear. I threw this onto my grill for just a couple of minutes to really char it. You can use canned corn with this if you want to, or you can do it exactly the same way I did. You can boil your corn, you can make it in the oven. However you want to make it, you just need a little bit of corn. So I went ahead and made 4 ears because that's what we had in the fridge. And guess what? I bought them last week, fully intending to make them. Never did make them, and they needed to get used. So even if we don't use the entire thing on tonight's recipe, they need to get used somehow. So somebody's gonna eat them. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, I did not put anything on it. All I did was literally throw it onto the grill and let it get a char. I've got my corn in a bowl. I'm gonna take some of this cilantro and go ahead and just chop it up and put it into a little bowl here, because I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna start to chop up this cilantro to mix it in with the corn, and I'm gonna forget about having any for garnish. So we're gonna do that before we even start, okay? Just a little bit, because it'll look really pretty with that vibrant green on the top. I've heard a lot of you say that you don't like cilantro, and I think that that is a very common thing to not like. So if you don't like cilantro, it's obviously really gonna change the flavor of this dish, but don't be afraid to use another fresh herb. Don't be afraid to use a parsley. What else could be really good? I think an oregano could be decent on this one too. Some thyme could be good. I mean, I feel like thyme is honestly good with any flavors, but so it's good. Like I said, it's gonna change the flavor. It's definitely gonna be different, but that's okay. Just know that going in, that it's not gonna taste exactly like ours, but it shouldn't matter anyway because you wouldn't like the way that ours tastes because it has cilantro. So got some of that cut up. We're gonna just set this to the side so that we have it for garnish. Do you like cilantro or do you not like cilantro? The thing that I've heard is that if you don't like it, to you, it tastes like soap. It does not taste like soap to me, so I am one of the people that does like it, but I'm just curious. Comment down below. We've got our corn, we've got our cilantro. I'm adding in a touch of onion powder, just a little bit of extra flavor there. I'm adding in a touch of garlic powder. Again, a little bit of extra flavor. Adding in some more chili powder, and we are gonna garnish with chili powder too, just depending on what it looks like. It's gonna add that beautiful red to the top. And then I like to add a little bit of lime juice. This is a new one I just opened, maybe a teaspoon or so, just to give it that like oomph, that summer feeling, I guess it is. What's the right word there? Okay, start by mixing this together. Now let's add some cotija cheese. I'm gonna start with right around a 1/4 cup. And then once I get this on the actual dish after we bake it, I may decide to add a little more. We'll wait and see. Mix that together. Y'all, you could eat it just like this. So delicious. Okay, so everything is prepped now. Like I said, we're just gonna wait. My husband went into the office today, and so I'm waiting and trying to time it perfectly so that it's coming out of the oven right when he gets home. So we're gonna put this in there at 400 for right around 15 to 20 minutes. Take it out, top it with this corn mixture, and bake it again. This has been in the oven for 20 minutes. Now we're gonna take that cheese mixture and just kind of sprinkle all over the top. It adds beautiful color. If you would like, you can add some sliced tomatoes too, if you wanna add some red to this. This is so pretty. If you serve it with a lime wedge on each plate, it looks awesome. Let's add just a touch more cheese. I just feel like it needs a little more of that cotija. All right, now it's looking good. This needs to go back into the oven for about 2 minutes and then it'll be ready. It's still on 400. I told you guys, I've got my timing down to a science. This came out of the oven literally 2 minutes after he walked in the door. So perfect timing. All right, so I did make a little side salad over here. Everything is from the garden. Just pulled it off of there and we're gonna have that with dinner tonight. But grilled, oh. Well, this is gonna be your plate. Try it without that first.
This looks ripe for Cholula. Okay.
This is not a Cholula ad, although you would think so. Why do you take my fork?
Do you have some kind of heat in there?
That's really good.
Yeah, it is.
It's a mixture of white and dark rotisserie chicken, like we talked about before.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, the flavors of this are very good. Definitely you get that hint of lime. There's ever so slightest bit of sweetness due to the honey. I did put 2 teaspoons of honey, but it's
not too much.
Yeah, like minuscule. It just kind of develops the flavors, but everything works really well. And typically we are not huge fans of corn in things. Now this isn't in it, it's on it, but there's something about like a grilled Mexican corn that's just different than your traditional corn. So like I said, you can make this with a canned corn, but I think if you have the time and the ability to just throw a couple ears of corn on your grill and then take it off of the ear, it hands down way better.
Agreed. I think it works and adds the texture. What's otherwise, what do you call these?
They're enchiladas.
Enchiladas.
Yeah.
Otherwise, doesn't really have texture to it.
Yeah, it's all the same kind of texture.
Right. Because normally, she's right. I'm not a picky eater, but I do have a pet peeve about people putting corn in things just for fillers. So I think this works.
But this is really good. And I added a touch of salt to the corn mixture, but other than that, I didn't add any extra salt to this dish, and it doesn't need it. So definitely take note of that. Yeah. Really good flavors in this one. Our verse today comes from Philippians 1:6. And I'm sure of this, that he who began the good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out the video that I have here in the center of the screen for more encouragement and inspiration in the kitchen. We've got some delicious recipes here that you are not gonna wanna miss. And if you're new, I'd love for you to subscribe and stick around so you can get more inspiration each week. Have a great week, guys.